Welcome everybody. I'll just wait for a few more people to come in. If you want to say hello, please do pop a little higher in the chat so that we know who's here. We'll be starting in a minute. If anyone's having any issues with audio, please make sure that microphone, you've got your audio settings on linked to webinar. So you need to join with computer audio. If your chat is disabled, you can pop questions in the Q&A. So I can see some of you are saying that, but it is coming up in the Q&A. We'll have a little play and see if we can sort that out. But I can see if you want to put any questions in the Q&A, I am seeing those. Great. Hi. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Alice. Hi, Carol. Yeah, best to use the Q&A if you want to say anything, because that is working. Well, croeso pawb, welcome everyone to today's session. Today we're going to be showcasing hyperlocal initiatives that are supporting families in their communities. We're really happy to have Katie from Little Lounge, Susannah from Aura, and Emmajayne from Boomerang sharing their work with us today. If you have any questions or any comments, pop them into the Q&A. There will be time for us to have a discussion after we've heard from our panelists. So firstly, I'd like to welcome Katie, who is going to tell us about Little Lounge. Just give us 1 second while we connect.
Hi everyone, are we ready to go?
I think so, yeah. Welcome, Katie.
Diolch, thank you for inviting me. I am a little bit nervous, massive imposter syndrome, but the lovely thing about talking about hyperlocal initiatives is this initiative is working brilliantly in our community and might not necessarily work brilliantly in your community, and that's the beauty of being hyperlocal, is that you know your community and you know what is going to work and what isn't going to work. So you might be able to see on the screen our organisation is called Little Lounge. We are a charitable incorporated organisation, a CIO. We incorporated back in 2019. Our main focus and our passion is to support the well-being of children in their early years and their families in our little village called Cilfynydd in Rhondda Cynon Taf, just outside of Pontypridd. And we started, this is a photo of me and my youngest daughter on my hip, who is now 10. So we started back in around about 2015 as a simple baby and toddler group because as you can see, I had my third daughter. We'd just moved to this community and there wasn't much going on in terms of early years provision. We are a bit further out from Pontypridd, so it's not as easy to get into town. And I had a few friends with babies of a similar age, and we thought, let's just start a baby group and let's see what happens. If people had told me back then that we would become an incorporated charity with staff members, I probably would have run a million miles. But it has organically grown, and it's been a beautiful process, and also very scary and frustrating at times as well. We'll just stick on this photo for a second. I'm just going to give a bit of a backstory as to where the heart of our initiative has come from. Before we started Little Lounge, I was involved in a family situation where I was delivering some parenting classes for a mum who had sadly lost her little boy and had put children into respite care in order for her to be able to recover and grieve. And she was instructed by social services to undertake some parenting craft classes. To cut a really long story short, unfortunately, she never regained custody of her other children, and it absolutely devastated me. And I kind of came out of that situation with the mindset that I can't change the world, but I can influence my local community. And that's been the heartbeat of Little Lounge, is really to support the well-being of families by creating support networks for parents. We cannot ever stop crisis from happening, but what we can do is be there for people in the crisis, and quite often divert major disasters from happening in terms of well-being. So if we jump to the next pic, we shut down like everybody did in 2020. Up until 2020, we'd focused on early years, and we'd run different kinds of baby group and toddler sessions out of the community centre in the village. We shut down in 2020. But the beauty of being hyperlocal is you're on the ground. All of our volunteers, all of our staff live within walking distance or in Kilfynydd itself. All our trustees live within walking distance. It is hyperlocal, grassroots organisation. And so what happened in 2020 was we were still there in our community and listening really to what our community needed. And so in 2020, we almost flourished as an organisation because we adapted really to what the community was crying out for. We were already part of the Fair Share scheme, which some of you might be aware of, is when big supermarkets give away their yellow stickered food to local organisations, and then local organisations distribute it as food distribution to reduce food waste and also to help people who might be struggling with budgeting. We launched a community pantry because people couldn't get to the local supermarkets. Lots of people were shielding, our local bus transport was, closed down. So we launched the community pantry. I haven't got time to go into that, but it's been a wonderful initiative. We focused it on an eco project rather than a food poverty project, because we are a small village. We know if we focus on food poverty, nobody would come because they didn't want to be seen to be struggling. So it's an eco project to reduce our carbon footprint as a community. We also, if we jump to the next photo, because we couldn't use the community centre, we started meeting with mums in a garden outside of the community centre, and out of that we had the idea to launch Outdoor Adventures, which is our outdoor nature-based toddler project. Out of that idea, we applied for some small grant funding, and we landscaped an allotment site, which has now provided an amazing, beautiful space with a huge oak tree in the middle, with surrounding woodland and mountains. And it's really a beautiful space where we can now grow and expand our nature-based activities. And if we jump to the next slide, what we also realised was, when children started to go back to school after lockdown, a lot of children were struggling to engage back into mainstream. And I've got teenagers now, I've got a 15 and a 13-year-old. I know it really affected them, having that lack of routine, being out of school for such a long time, socially, and I think their well-being mentally. Lockdown really did take its toll on children. What we were listening to, what we were hearing in the community was mainstream mental health services completely overwhelmed. Schools did not have the resources to create bespoke support for certain children. We partnered with an amazing equestrian centre, which is on our doorstep, which we're really blessed to have. where they focus on therapeutic horsemanship. And so we applied for, because we're a charity, we could apply for a grant to pilot a scheme where we've taken 10 local children and supported them and their families by getting a family therapist on board in the scheme, in the project as well. And these children are learning outside of the classroom to regain their confidence, regain their communication skills, be at ease with themselves and the world around them. And horses are amazing at boosting your self-esteem and reflecting your emotions. So this has been a really exciting project for us to be involved in. If we jump to our next photo, I'm trying to be concise and, you know, go give enough information about who we are. So the beauty about being hyperlocal is, like I've said, we can listen to our community. I think one of the amazing things that we've been able to do over the years is build trust. I know that Find Your Voice, the equine therapy project, worked because the families knew us and trusted us. I suspect that if professionals had approached them and said, why don't we try this project with your children, they might not have taken the opportunity up. So building a team for us based in the community is essential for our activities and our projects to thrive and to flourish. Our team is mainly made out of mums and volunteers who have come through some of the activities and the projects themselves and understood the benefits, wanted to invest the time back into the project, and also know their neighbours, they know their friends. And so we refer to ourselves as the Little Lounge family, and that really is who we are. Obviously, it's not all sunshine and roses, we know that, but I love community. I love the valleys. I'm a valleys girl myself, and I love to see something flourish where you wouldn't necessarily see it flourish. And I genuinely think that building local team has been key to us being able to do that. If we jump to our next slide. Okay, so I was asked to talk about how do we use books and stories and rhymes in our sessions. Our setup is important to the atmosphere and the environment that we create. We tend to have a book corner, and you can see the little girl sitting on a nice recliner chair with the book in her hand. And we love to encourage the mums to and the carers to be able to sit and grab a book and sit with their babies. We all know that books aren't just about the academic learning, are they? Books with babies are about bond building, about being tactile, about discovering new things together. So we explore themes, like you can see the hungry caterpillar. We have a Gruffalo setup that we've been able to build up over the years with woodland sensory toys and props. And we also, if we jump to the next slide, we also always finish our earlier sessions with circle time, and you can see these mums waving their BookTrust baby bags proudly there. We end with circle time. I'm a Welsh speaker. We don't live in a particularly Welsh speaking area, but it is an advantage for me to be able to drop in some Welsh vocabulary into our circle times. What we did recently was we had given to us from the BookTrust 20 copies of the same simple little baby board book, and stories don't tend to work in circle time because the babies don't have that concentration span. Well, not in my group anyway, they might in yours. But a simple board book with, you know, one sentence on each page has been a brilliant way to incorporate bringing books into our circle time. All the parents, carers have a book. All the babies are encouraged to sit on laps, and we'll read through the story together. And it's just reinforcing that, you know, that relational thing of sitting with your baby, turning the pages together, pointing at the images, getting the baby to, you know, to look at your facial expression and look at the pictures. So that's some of the ways that we incorporate books into our sessions. I've kind of raced through that. I hope I've given enough of an overview. I'm happy to answer any questions if I can.
Thank you, Katie. Chat is now enabled, so if anyone does have any questions that you want for Katie, I have got a comment here from Sue Hughes, who just said, you're doing amazing work, so keep at it. And
thank you.
The example of using books to build bonds. We had a little chat just before we came on about barriers. It would just be interesting to hear what barriers you are facing in setting up Little Lounge and what you're trying to achieve in terms of growth.
Yeah, so at the moment, something that we're really facing is people's lack of ability to volunteer. Because of the cost of living crisis, a lot of our regular volunteers have had to take on additional hours to earn money, or we're seeing mums return much sooner to work after maternity. They don't take as much maternity leave, or stay-at-home mums is really quite rare now, as opposed to maybe 10 years ago where it was kind of 50-50. So we're struggling with volunteers. We don't have enough grant funding to employ enough people to run everything that we do, so we massively rely on volunteers. So I would say that's probably our biggest barrier at the moment, is the cost of living crisis and how it's affecting our workforce.
Absolutely. You're getting a lot of love in the chat here. You're doing a brilliant job. It sounds fab. Your community is lucky to have you. You're doing fantastic work. So lots of love for you here. And it's lovely to hear you speaking so passionately about Little as well. I know it's in your heart. What we will do, we will continue to get some questions. If you want to pop them in the chat or in Q&A, please do. We'll have a bit more time after we've heard from our other panelists. But thank you for that, Katie. That was excellent.
Thank you.
Introduce Susannah now, who is going to tell us about Flintshire Fit, Fed and Read project. Welcome, Susannah.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks very much.
Right, sorry, go on. There you go. Okay, so Susannah is working with Aura Leisure and Libraries, and the project that they are doing is Fit, Fed and Read.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining us today, and I've really enjoyed hearing from Katie. That sounds so amazing. Just love all the stuff you're doing. I think I might have to pinch some of those ideas and see what we can use. So I'm a library service manager for Aura Leisure and Libraries in Flintshire, and I'm talking about our Fit, Fed and Read project that we do over the summer. If we could have the next slide, Phil, I'm just going to give you a bit of background as to why we do what we do. So Flintshire is quite a mixed area in terms of deprivation, with 19% of children in Flintshire growing up in poverty. I know this is below the Welsh average, but it's still quite a significant figure. And for the Flintshire lower super output areas are in the top 10% most deprived areas of Wales, while several of the other ones are in the top 20% most deprived areas of Wales. And due to the way that population is distributed across Flintshire, access to services can be limited. So there's a few key towns, but then there's a lot of rural areas. And in fact, 3 of the LSOAs feature in the 10% most deprived areas in Wales for access to services. 17% of our households don't have a car, and public transport around the area is quite poor. So it limits many people to activities and facilities within their immediate area. Many people, young people, feel like there isn't a great deal to do. They suffer from boredom and frustration, and because of this, they're vulnerable to isolation, social exclusion and mental health issues. And they tend to act out their pent-up energy in negative or antisocial behaviours. Already by the age of 5, 27.8% of children are overweight or obese, and a shocking 62% of adults in Flintshire are overweight and obese. Even worse, 69.7% of adults don't take part in the recommended amount of physical activity. And Flintshire also has the highest proportion of adults reporting they're feeling lonely in Wales, 17%, and social isolation is ranked as a significant issue. So this does indicate the high level of need for provision of accessible physical activity and leisure opportunities across the whole of Flintshire, according to the last locality needs assessment. Have the next slide, Phil. So we also have high areas of deprivation according to the free school meals entitlement statistics, as well as high crime and antisocial behaviour rates. And, you know, we get those figures from all the partners we work with, such as the youth service, police and fire service. Many of the areas in Flintshire also have a high rate of unemployment, which is 6%, compared to the national average in Wales of 3.1%. A lot of our communities in Flintshire aren't near a static library, and even more are not within walking distance of a local library. A lot of families in some communities don't traditionally engage with our library services, and they just feel that we have nothing to offer them. And sadly, too many children don't have access to books at home. We're also still feeling the fallout of COVID, and lots of children and families are struggling with their learning and social skills. And lots of children don't have the opportunity to be creative in the home or take part in lots of different activities. Next slide. So this is where we had the idea to get involved in Fit and Fed. So Fit and Fed is created by Street Games. I don't know whether you've heard of Street Games. They're a national organisation, and they use sport to create positive change in the lives of disadvantaged young people. And the aim of Fit Fed programme is to create opportunities for physical activity and promote a healthy diet by providing healthy snacks in the sessions. So back in the summer of 2021, colleagues from our sports development team and myself were talking about the Fit Fed, and we decided to add an additional library element, because I'll do anything to get the library out there and get involved in the communities. So this added the additional element of bringing in reading and creativity into the session. So Fit, Fed and Read was born, basically. So we combine the library and leisure activities, ultimately with the aim to emphasise the importance of keeping minds as well as bodies healthy. In the summer of 2021, Fit, Fed and Read visited 7 different sites over 5 weeks, and we saw 3,305 people. They're all free sessions for families where they can take part in any of the sport or library activities on offer. And then each child also gets a drink, sandwich, fruit and snack at the end. We run the sessions for an hour and a half either side of lunchtime. So the morning session runs from 10 till 12:30, and the afternoon session runs from 2 till 3:30. We just have a bit of overlap in the middle of the day to drive around to get where we're going. And we've also made sure that we get lots of partner services to come along to talk to families as well in a really informal way. So services like Home Start, youth services and the youth justice team. Next slide, please. So these are the flyers that we produced for the sessions this year. And this year we decided to increase the reach as far as we could. So we increased to 8 sites, which we visited over the 5 weeks of the summer holidays. We included sites in Buckley and Connors Quay, as well as sites at Saltney, Aston, which is just near Deeside, Mostyn, which is quite on the extreme of Flintshire, almost in Denbighshire, and then Holywell, Mold and Flint. And each site we chose a residential area, playing field area in the heart of a community, lots of families around us, but not near any library or other facility, where we knew there was lots of either antisocial behaviour or lots of deprivation. The exception to that was Holywell, where we actually went to a site just behind the leisure centre, and the library itself is located in the leisure centre. It's a big park, but traditionally a lot of the families on those estates will not engage with the library service or the leisure centre, so it was kind of tempting them closer, so we could get engaged with them. And then at Flint, it was actually in the Flint Castle grounds, and the castle itself is in quite there's a big estate down by the castle where it's quite far from the other services in town, and they don't tend to come up into town to the library and other things. So we really did focus on places where they wouldn't be able to get to a library unless they had a car. Next slide, please. So to run the sessions, we were successful in getting Cymru Fund funding from Flintshire County Council, which completely funded the project for us this year. It enabled us to purchase equipment and also fully fund the staffing to deliver all the sessions. And most importantly for the library service, it enabled us to employ 2 library staff. So we had somebody working for 20 hours a week and somebody working for 10 hours a week, which really helped us because the library service now was open again as normal. We were offering all the normal activities and events in the static sites, so we couldn't release the staff as we had the previous years. Having the 2 staff there for every session provided real consistency with the offer, and they were able to really build those relationships with the communities rather than it being different staff each time or different volunteers. And we tended to double up on the staff on the busier sites, so the sites at Holywell, Malden, Flint and Moston, we tended to see a lot of families. And another sort of positive from it is the 2 staff that we employed have now got permanent positions with the main library team. So, next slide, please. So for us, it was really important for the library service to be involved in Fit, Fed and Read, as it gives us a real opportunity to engage with children and families in an area without a static library nearby, and in areas where families don't traditionally engage with us. The library offer at Fit, Fed and Read was really about enabling the children to engage with stories and books in a fun way and to take part in some simple creative activities with the whole family. So at each site, you can see our lovely Aura gazebo there. We'd set up the gazebo with tables for crafts, and we had soft matting to sit on and plenty of books that were there to share and read together. We had different creative activities at each session, and I don't know if you can just see Emma under the gazebo. She was great at thinking up different things to do with the children each time. We did story times. You can see me there reading stories to the little ones at Moston. And at Moston as well, because it's quite far out, it's quite an isolated community, very rural, not a lot going on. We were able to also have funding to do a special Gadgeteers summer reading challenge session with Explore Wrexham. So they came with lots of STEM activities for the children to get involved with. So as part of the library offer, children were able to sign up to the summer reading challenge, and we really encouraged them to do the challenge during the sessions. They were able to use the books that we had with us if they couldn't get to a library. And we also were gifting books during these sessions over the summer. So we gifted over 500 books to children and families to keep at home. And over 200 children took part in the Summer Reading Challenge Gadgeteers with us this year. So for us, it's really important to show that the service isn't dependent on a building or a location. And we hope that seeing these children and families in the relaxed setting like this showed them that we're friendly and that we've got something for them and that we're there to support them. And by encouraging children to sign up to the Summer Reading Challenge and being able to gift the books has enabled them to actively engage in reading in a fun way and have the opportunity to have books of their own. At some of the sites as well, we were able to take our mobile library, which kind of reinforced the library message, and it enabled children and families to sign up to the services and borrow books. And a key outcome for us from the 2021 Fit, Fed and Read is we took the mobile to the Aston session and encouraged the families to use it. And from that, the mobile library actually stops in that community now every fortnight and sees those families all the time. Next slide, please. During Fit, Fed and Read this year, we had a key focus on the early years. So we obviously gifted book start packs to families. We were sharing books together with them. We were sitting and reading with them and modelling the behaviours and the fun that can be had sharing books together. We were encouraging the bonding and sharing those activities together. We were sharing what library activities are on offer, what the toddler offer is, the rhyme times that we deliver, all the work we do with Cymru Blant, etc. And we obviously did some rhymes and singing on site. But we also had a special area with our sports development team who do some key activities and a 0 to 3 programme. So they run throughout the year a multi-sports programme for 0 to 3s, which is encouraging play and development of gross motor skills. So the sessions are always themed around a picture book, and library staff go in at the end to do a story and rhyme to end the session. And we thought it would be a really good addition to the Fit, Fed and Read offer to include this. So we would set up the 0 to 3 area in one of our inflatable football pitches, and it meant babies and toddlers were safe, they couldn't easily wander off, and it gave parents the confidence to let them explore the equipment safely. So lovely to see the children having so much fun, gaining confidence and socialising with others their own age. And obviously the parents had the opportunity to socialise too. So we focused on the gross motor skills. So we had stepping and jumping with sensory water tiles. We had a sit and spin and a wobble board, had balance bikes. And we also had some tasks to develop the fine motor skills too. So we had a busy board, we had shape sorters, tower building, threading and tweezer activities, and the library staff were going in and reading stories as well. Next slide, please. So this is just some of the statistics from the summer. So we delivered this year across 8 sites and had a really good response to the programme with over 5,480 attendances across the 40 sessions, which is a big increase on the numbers that we saw in 2021. We served 2,875 meals across the sessions, and we delivered 100 meals to the homeless shelter if we had meals left over at the end of the session. That wasn't very often, I have to say, that we had food left over. We had young ambassadors volunteering on the programme who accrued 110 hours of volunteering, and we worked with over 10 different partner agencies. Our library statistics show we've got new members, and we have anecdotal feedback from the library staff showing that the families have started coming to the library as a result of these sessions as well, particularly in Holywell, which is a big win for us, and that's one thing that we wanted to get from the sessions. From going to the sessions myself to check in on the team, it's been obvious the effect that they've had. From hearing some children saying that this is the only food they've had today, and that was something we would hear a lot in Saltney, and could they have another sandwich to take home for their tea? You know, it just shows how important that is, really. And others were like, oh my God, you know, these books are for me to keep. And we're like, yes, you know, these are for you. We've had funding to deliver this. You know, we want you to take those books home and enjoy them and keep them. A particular success for us in Mould is a young girl who has, well, she has real family issues. She's the eldest of about 4 or 5. Her mum's just come out of prison, real issues at home. She was coming every week, mainly on her own, to the sessions, and was upset. She felt she couldn't do the reading challenge because her mum wouldn't take her to the library to join up so she could do it. So we were able to explain to her, you know, you can do it here, it doesn't matter, when she started doing the challenge. But then after chatting to her even more, we've set her up with a library card now, and she's coming into the library most days after school. She's engaging with the staff, she's borrowing books, and she's using the facilities to do her homework. And hope, you know, that for us is making a difference to her life as well. Next slide, please. And then this, you know, the key for me is just the impact it's had on participants. So I just thought I would share some of the feedback that we've had from the staff that were involved and some of the participants. So you can just have a read with those. And that's why we do it, really. And then next slide, Phil. The lady at the top here, I was there one of the sessions when she came with her grandchildren, and you could see the difference in them over the weeks that they were coming. and they were actually opening up to the library staff and the sports staff, talking about how they felt as well. So it's obviously been a big impact on their well-being. So yeah, it's a great thing to do, and we really feel it made a difference to our communities this summer.
Thank you, Susannah. I'm just having a look in the chat. Charlotte has said what a difference you made to that young girl's life. It's so lovely to hear that, you know, real impact, that you've made such a positive change. What else have we got? Let me just scroll. Kate has said, and this is a really good point, and it also is relevant to your work, Katie. It's really great to hear the importance of going to where people are and making sure that people can take part in your activities. We know that, you know, a lot of communities are quite cut off in terms of transport, increasingly so. So actually going and having the ability to go where they are is really key to being able to have that positive impact. And I really enjoyed hearing the positive outcomes and the fact that, you know, people are now, you've got your mobile library in a place that perhaps you wouldn't have known there was need previously. Is this something you're going to do again next year?
Yes, very much. And we want to kind of take it to another level, I suppose, and see what else communities would like to involve, you know, what they would like to see. We'd perhaps like to get more partners involved, perhaps Theatre Clwyd and other things like that. So there's a lot more going on. Yeah.
Right. I'm seeing, you know, you're engaging with over 10 partners. Is partnership work key to making this a success?
Yes, I think so. And it's about getting, you know, for us getting out into the communities, but some of those partners as well, because, you know, it's no good waiting for people necessarily to come and see you. They need the help, and to know who to come for that help and having those conversations. So
I've got a message from Emma saying Fit, Fed and Read was such a lovely thing to be part of, and it was great seeing the real difference it was making as word spread. Hope it's bigger and better again in 2023. Smiley face and heart. Thank you, Susannah.
Thank you.
Our next session is pre-recorded because unfortunately Emmajayne wasn't able to join us today, but we caught up with Emmajayne Skinner at Boomerang's Pay It Forward hub in Tremorfa in Cardiff to find out more about their work and how they support their community.
My name's Emmajayne Skinner. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at Boomerang Cardiff. So I started volunteering for Boomerang back in 2016, which was probably a year after they first started. Just volunteering, making tea, sorting through donations of clothing. I just left my job as a retail manager after 15 years, and I was working late over Tesco just to get a job. I just found that with the kids in nursery, I was bored. So yeah, volunteered my time at Boomerang. Then Paul realised some of my experience from my retail environment, from my HR experience. So I started helping out in the office, started doing some procedural work. Then Paul asked me to join the team as a community engagement manager. So when I started, we set up the peer poverty campaign. So since doing that, we are now in over 68 schools in Cardiff where we provide sanitary products. We've got 4 local supermarkets that have got top-up boxes, so people donate to us, so we carry on supporting local schools. And we've also got 28 community groups in the area of Cardiff that we support with our sanitary products as well. As well as that, we started we've had the Homeless to Home project for a long time, so I assisted with that, helping get starter packs ready for families. So that's like pots, pans, glasses, cutlery, etc. And then the boys would take the furniture, the sofas, beds, and make people's houses homes. So I helped with that. Last year, more obviously recent, we had to expand because of COVID. We had a lot of families we had to help with furniture, and our centre in Splot was a capacity. So we managed to get a centre in Tremorfa, which we moved all the furniture over to. And then as the furniture started helping families and we had more space, we were trying to think of what we could do with that space. So our assistant manager, Helen, who is also a secretary for our Boomerang Rovers football team, asked if they could use the space to do some indoor training so they weren't getting wet outside. So give Paul an idea, our founder, he runs with it. So rather than just the empty space being used, it was then turned into an indoor 4G training facility that it is today. Since then, just through speaking to the community, a lot of football teams wanted to also use the pitch for training. So through doing that, then we had parents asking if we did anything for siblings. So then we started doing toddler groups, so 0 to 5. We did a lot of work with Early Years Wales, so they came in and did some sessions. Then we had other kids asking if they could do dance after school, if they could do Lego clubs. So basically, from speaking to the kids, speaking to the parents who are coming to the centre just to play football, we then realised there was a need for other activities in the area. So we then started doing other activities, and that's where we are. A year later now, we're literally booked every single out 4 till 8 every night with football teams using us, and then through the day we've got our 0 to 5 projects. So we do arts and crafts, we do story at movement with Sarah from Den Early Years, and then Early Years Wales also use us for activities as well. So yeah, we do a bit of everything. So we work a lot with the schools. Obviously, we're already in the schools with our period poverty campaign, so that's a great start anyway. So we're able to then contact the schools, email them. They use their dojo. A lot of schools got dojo point systems, which they can email out to parents. So they'll send like our posters out. We also use Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, so all the social media. We do have a few social workers we're in contact with, so they'll help as well, and health visitors. So we'll send it out via them as well, and any emails. We generally take the emails of people who use us. They sign an activity consent form when they first start coming to our centres. So we take their email address, medical, and anything they'd like to see us do. So we try and collect their email addresses, and then now and again we'll email and say, look guys, this is an update of our activities, just to let people know what's going on. With regards to, with the current fuel prices, food, fuel, everything all going up, we're being used more than ever now. Especially like the Homeless to Home project, which is next door. I'm not directly involved with anymore because I'm more community engagement. But if the guys ever need support, we do support them if there's a lot of families needing help. But we find that a lot of people are using our food top up that we do on a Tuesday. So we do. It's £1 donation for a bag. Some people can't even afford £1, but we don't ask for it. If somebody comes in and says, "Oh, I haven't got £1," I'm not going to turn them away. So we do give it free if needed. So they can come in and get toiletries, nappies, sanitary products, food, and yeah, it's just £1. And then some people even like to have a cup of tea with us and have a chat after they've done that, which is great. We're trying our best to get more funding for children's activities. One of our funding has just ended, but we want to make sure that when people are struggling, cutting back on children's activities is not one of the cuts they need to make. We want to make sure kids can still come out and get active. So we're trying to keep our prices as low as we can, not making any money, but just keep being sustainable, making sure we can still be here, making sure that we can pay the coaches, the staff, and try and contribute towards rent if we can. But we're fortunate that we've got the furniture sale next door, which takes on that burden of paying the rent, so that I can have a bit of leeway and I can support families as much as I can. So as well as obviously us being a charity in the area, there are other amazing charities and community groups in the area. So we've got Tremorfa Pantry, we've got Splot Community Volunteers, Moreland Day Centre. They're sort of the main ones that we know that people use, and we also like to try and support. So Tremorfa Pantry, I know back last year we helped Christine, bless her, she's recently passed away, but when she was with the pantry, she was very passionate about cooking with the kids. So we were able to donate some money and buy some aprons for the kids for her to carry on doing that. Kane, one of the boys there, did a book drive, which was absolutely amazing, making sure all the kids in all the schools in Cardiff were able to have a book for the summer. So we contributed and donated 300 books to him during that time. We also help with period poverty, so we donate sanitary products to them, and then we also donate sanitary products to Splot Community Volunteers and Moreland Day Centre. We give pads as well for the elderly. So we do try and help other groups in our area. But we also work with Early Years Wales and Den Early Years and Play Active with the 0 to 5 groups. So it's great to work with them, because I'm predominantly from a retail environment. I never thought I'd be running a community centre a year ago. This was just, you know, an empty space. But from speaking to the community, speaking to parents coming to us, we can see there's a need for these activities. So we've just rolled with it. And then we're working with obviously other organisations just to get new things in the centre, but also to support us, because it's new to us. So it's great for them to sort of advise and say, look, you know, this is what works for us. And yeah, we're just growing from strength to strength. And you know, last night we had our first dance class as well, so that was great. We had 13 kids come last night to learn street dance, so that's another new thing we're doing. And we did that with You Do It Dance Foundation, so we've just started working with them. Yeah, so through working with Early Years Wales, we obviously we emailed BookTrust, who were amazing, who gave us lots of lovely books for the children in the area. So we gave lots up during the summer holidays, and we did free sessions. So we did, over the summer holiday, we did free breakfast. So the kids would come along at 9:30, have breakfast, and then 10 till 11, they would play on the pitch. They'd have a little reading time. We also had Margaret, who is an ambassador for BookTrust. She's absolutely amazing. She comes on with her guitar, all her little equipment. She's got loads of like little puppets, little toys, so she's great with all the nursery rhymes and getting the kids really engaged. So it was nice to have her along as well. So yeah, we were able to gift the books to families with toddlers, but to be honest, even some of the older kids were like, well, can I not have one of those? And I think especially the dinosaur book with the movements, they were quite good with using those, and they were able to sort of help their siblings with the book. So it was nice to see the older kids getting involved with the younger kids, so sort of like, oh, look at this is how you do it. So it was quite nice to see that, really. But we also gave them out during the summer, but then during our activities with Margaret and our also toddler groups with Early Years Wales, we were gifting the books to families then. So it was great to be able to give something to the families, and you know, for the kids to get interested in the books. So yeah, it was lovely. I think one of our biggest challenges is trying to find funding, and I think the time it takes to do funding, because I like to be out in the centre with the kids, with the families, but I've got to learn to step back a bit and let my team take over, which I've got an amazing team here. Helen, Christy, Sarah, Cody, they're all brilliant with the kids. So it's just trying to get more funding, because like I said, I don't want any of the cutbacks to be children having activities and children having time. So it's just trying to find funding to make sure we can either offer it really, really cheap or free. Ultimately free. I'd love to be able to have children accessing us for free. So I think that's probably one of the challenges we've got. But we try and market us, and we try and get into the schools. Now I'm waiting for new leaflets to come through, and I'll be going into assemblies in a lot of local schools, speaking to them. We did that last year with our Homeless to Home project. So we did assemblies with the schools talking about homelessness and in-work poverty. So a lot of kids then understood, that just because mum and dad's working, it doesn't mean they're not struggling as well. And, just because you've not got all the best things, it doesn't mean that your parents are not trying for you. And if you're fortunate enough to have something that you've outgrown or you don't use anymore, think of another child. So that was our assemblies last year. So this year is going to be about activities, what we do, how we can help the community, and also ask the kids, what do they want? Is there something that they're looking for that we don't do, that we can do? So that's another conversation. So yeah, I think trying to get funding is probably our biggest hurdle at the minute, just to try and make us more accessible to everybody. So Boomerang, we have lots of drop-off points. So in Asda Pentwyn, Asda Leckwith, Morrison's Cardiff Bay, Tesco Pengham Green, and we've also got Barry, Morrison's Barry and Tesco Barry. So they're our drop-off points if anyone would like to support us with our Hero Poverty campaign. but we also, if anyone wants to volunteer, come and see me. You know, we're always looking for people to help us with. We've got bingo on a Friday, which we do with the over 18s. So I had a lady come to me telling me that she struggled getting to bingo, she missed it, so we just set up a bingo club, and now we've got like 15, 16 adults coming every Friday. So we do free tea, coffee and toast. It's prize bingo, and it's £2. So it's great to have all these things going on. So if anyone wants to come and help make the tea, help set up prizes, or join in some of the kids' activities, help them do arts and crafts, that'd be amazing. We've also got a Facebook account, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, trying to keep up with the kids. So you can follow us there, and if there's anything we're doing, it'd be great to get support. And yeah, there's a donation link on our website. So it's www.boomerangcardiff.org.uk. So there's a donate button there. So you can do a one-off donate button, or you can do a monthly subscription, which can help, you know, families in need.
Thank you. It's lovely to catch up with Emmajayne and see all the amazing work that Boomerang are doing, not only in their immediate community, but supporting further out as well. We have a little bit of time now if anyone has any questions or anything that they'd like to put in the chat. Just having a little look through. It's lovely to hear older siblings getting involved. Absolutely. So refreshing to hear some of the inspirational and passionate people working hard in their communities. Arthur Hogg, excellent, fantastic comment. A question from me really for both Susannah and Katie. We as an organisation do find it hard to reach and support families who need us the most. What tools are you using to reach families in terms of just letting them know what's going on? Are you finding social media is useful, or local networking? Susannah, what did you do to get people on board? You had a flyer campaign. How else were you able to reach?
I don't think social media always gets everybody, especially not through our official channels. If we can, it's sharing it in the local community groups that gets it out there. That's the way to get it out. And, you know, there's mums groups on there, and if we can get things in there, then that does make a difference. And for us, just being there, people came because they'd turn up and they'd say, oh, I didn't know. And, you know, you can put the flyers out in as many buildings and stuff, but if they're not going in the buildings and they're not on social media, but because we picked really good sites in the middle of a housing estate, people would see us and they'd come and see, you know, find out a bit about what the buzz was. But I don't think there's an easy answer. And because we were trying to deliver us across the whole of the authority, that's really hard, because you don't always have those immediate links in each community. And for me, because my libraries are Mould and Flint, I've probably got more links there than I would personally have in some of the other towns. So it's knowing who in the community to get that message to as well. You know, if you can get hold of a community councillor or a community group that will then share it, then that really helps. So, yeah.
Katie, do you find similar difficulties in letting people know that you're there?
Yeah, it's a funny one. I think because we are so focused on one community, we are quite well known, but I think it is just one of the issues doing any kind of community provision is the people who you want to reach the most, the people who most need you are probably the most difficult to reach. And because a lot of what we do is trying to combat that isolation in early years, parenting in early years, the people that you most want to serve are probably the ones with the most anxiety of coming into a group setting. So one of the things that we want to do when we've got our own venue, which is in the pipeline, is do smaller groups. So we want to do coffee morning type things with maybe 6 parents max. So that will hopefully reduce some of the anxiety of coming to a big group setting, because I know I'm quite a confident person, but when I was attending groups with my little one, it would be absolutely terrifying to walk into a room where you don't know how many people's going to be there, you don't know the layout of the room, you don't know if anybody's going to talk to you. So we do deliberately say in our booking system, if it's your first time, please mention, and we will introduce you to people, we'll make sure that you're looked after. So we try and break down some of those anxiety barriers. We've also done videos of the layout of things, so people can visualize what they're going to be stepping into. I think that is helpful sometimes. So we've done videos and then we've created them on TikTok. Actually, my 15-year-old created them for me, and then I mean, we can't learn all these new things. It just, there's a limit to what we can do. And partnership working, I think, is helpful as well. So we have partnered with local health visitors who then recommend us to, there's certain people who will automatically have access to certain people because of their profession, and for us that's health visitors and local midwives, meeting new mums in the area, so they will say that we are there. But I think it is one of the barriers that you just got to keep trying to do different things to reach the people that you really want to reach.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes it can be quite hard to be chasing after people who are running away from you. So I think that suggestion of filming the layout is a really quick and simple way of going, this is what it's going to look like. Because even that, like you say, it's just people thinking about going somewhere and talking yourself out of it. That's a really good piece of advice. We've had a comment from Wendy saying family information services in local authority are also a good way to get word out about activities. We certainly use them ourselves to promote Big Welsh Wine Time and other activities that we do. So they're on hand to support. One other question for me really is, do you find in those remote communities that transport issues are a barrier that are difficult for families to overcome? Susannah, you're nodding.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very difficult, and a lot of the families were saying, well, we'd love to come down to see you in the library, but we just can't get there. And particularly in Moston, it's a little village up on the top of the hill, and they only get a couple of buses a day into Holywell, so it's really hard. And I don't know what the answer is to that, because the public transport seems to be getting worse rather than better.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I don't know. Yeah. I mean, whether we can, it's increasing the reach of the mobile library, but then you don't get the same facilities there as you would in a building. There's not the groups that they can take part in, and that's part of what we want to be. We want to be a place where people can just be and take part in whatever they want to take part in, really. So
yeah. Well, it sounds that all the work that you're doing and Emmajayne as well is really having such a positive impact on a local community. So thank you for all of your hard work. And Kate, I think you said it in the comments, and it's definitely true that local initiatives can blossom with the right people on board, and everybody working on this today has really demonstrated that. So thank you. And we will continue to support you where we can, and everyone online, if you want to check out the initiatives and support or get involved. I've popped the websites into the chat, and we'll also share that as we share the recordings. So all of the sessions that we've done over the past 2 days, today and yesterday's panel, have been recorded and will be circulated. If you have registered for your conference book pack, they will be arriving from next week, so check those out. Please join us on Twitter at BookTrust Cymru to find out more about our work. Thank you so much for joining us today, Susannah and Katie, and to Emmajayne for speaking with us last week. Thank you so much. If anyone wants to pop anything else in the comments, we'll leave it on for a second, but if not, thank you for joining us, and we will see you again soon.